Hello and welcome to a chapter's creative website review. And typically when I do these, I kind of talk about a bigger brand. I've done one for LaCroix, I've done one for Del Taco, but today I am talking about Jumpsuit, an agency I've become pretty familiar with the past couple weeks. And the origin story is I was on LinkedIn and I ran into Nicole Ayers, and she is the founder of Jumpsuit. And I poked around her profile, and I'm like, oh, let's go to the website. And I ran into the website. I thought it was really cool, so I reached out, and we were exchanging some voice messages back and forth. And she gave me the Jumpsuit Patreon, and that's when things got really, really interesting. But today, I'm going to pretend I know nothing about Jumpsuit, and I'm going to see if Jumpsuit brings whoever's looking at this website, and I'm going to pretend like I'm from a brand and I need some help, right? So I'm going to see how well this website brings me into a story and inspires me to do business with them. And so near the end of the review, I'll also bring in some of the other context to kind of flesh this out a little bit more, kind of give next recommendations. But we're going to look at the website first as if we know nothing. And then once we're finished that, then we'll go to the other part two, if you will. So some things I'm looking for. I want to know if there's a character in this story. Are they going to talk about my problem? So the character is me. Let's just say that. And if I have a problem, it meets a guide, which is Jumpsuit, gives them a plan, calls them into action that ends in a success and helps them avoid failure. This is a storytelling frame. It's a story brand framework, but really it's a hero's journey framework. They just kind of like minimized it and made it easier to consume, to understand for folks like you and I. But I have a storytelling background. I'm an English major, and we're just going to see how well this website does. Okay, so here we go. So here we're at the Jumpsuit website, and first thing you see is the most collaborative on the planet. That is a big, big statement. And so usually what I'm looking for above the fold here is I want to know like what the offer is, how will make my life better, and what do I need to do to buy it. So I think there are some missing pieces here that'll, because usually when people go to a website, they're just kind of like looking at their phones and they're just like going all over the place, So typically, like, people don't spend that much time on the website. But I will say, forever there's a lack of like the offer and like how it's going to make my life better within the first 5 seconds when I see this site, I see the most collaborative agency on the planet. That is such a big, bold statement. That might be enough to like carry, some intrigue and interest for the rest of the website. I've been working with agencies the past few months. That's been kind of like the new interesting wrinkle in my business as far as the type of clients I have. And I think the trap the agencies fall into is the marketing language and talking about themselves isn't quite there. Pretty much like brands, not brands, but agencies run on vibes, right? They run on vibes and their portfolio. And like in the way that this is designed out, there's a ton of vibe. There's a unique vibe though. A few things that I like is that this stunning image right here of like a prism exploding out of someone's brain. I want to foreshadow that for later, but for now, I'm, as someone just coming to it blind, like, ooh, that is interesting. And especially like this ring right here with the dots where the pupil should be, like, that's very striking. I think that's very cool. Also, this pattern right here is really cool. And also the typeface is very like 70s. The thing that it reminds me of is like the Garfield font. Like when I was growing up, I would buy the Garfield little collections of like the old comics, and this is like all the typeface that it uses like on the covers and things like that. So I also want to foreshadow something in the future. I want you to keep a pin on the 70s vibe here. But as for me, someone who has no idea what Jumpsuit is, it's a little bit different. Like it's not like flashy. There's not like a lot of like, at least like the website, there's not a like flashy things going on. It doesn't feel very like super ultra modern in a good way. Like I feel like there's some older, a little bit more like nostalgic things happening here while still being bold and forward thinking. And I guess like you could see that like it's almost like a third eye situation coming from like the prism. So I think with the lack of messaging as far as like what exactly does that mean, the most collaborative agency on the planet, there's a lot going on here that'll pique my interest. And also there's a CTA here, book a discovery call. So at least there's that. It's like, what do I need to do to buy it? There's this. And also up top here, we've got our services. We'll go to that later. About us, we hover. Oh, and there's a contact button right there. And the telepathy tapes. We'll see what the telepathy tapes are later, but it's kind of interesting. The contact's like a drop down or hover over. Like, I think I would just like to see it over to the right of the telepathy tapes. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of buried, even though that there's like a book of discovery call here. Maybe free that so it's like easy for people to, I don't know, get a hold of you. All right, next section. All right. Jumpsuit is a full service creative agency powered by the independent network. I think there's like an extra space here between service and creative. Interesting. So the independent network, is that something that is like a proper noun? I'm not sure. Because usually like people have like a cute name for the network. For instance, like my podcast is the Chapters Creative Conspiracy. That's also kind of the internal name that I have for the people that I work with. But the independent network seems pretty like kind of like a plain name. I don't. We'll see what the network has what they have to say about the network when we click the button a little bit later. Ultimately, like I want to know like what's what's in it for me in having this full like creative agency powered by an independent network. Why does it matter to me as someone like coming from a brand who just like maybe have just heard a little bit about Jumpsuit and I come into the website and like, okay, how's this good for me? Because I am a selfish person. We're all selfish. We're all just trying to survive and like trying to build our businesses, right? So we need to know how special this is. And maybe we'll get to it later. But I still, when it comes to like the imagery and the colors, and for instance, like everyone here, majority women, I think that's cool. And then you got someone like a badass on a motorcycle here. They're all wearing a jumpsuit, so that's cool. Almost has like a 1970s Sesame Street feel, especially like this logo right here. I think that's a lot of fun. The colors, especially like the yellow, orange, like turning into red. I feel like that like look at the old school Houston Astros jerseys, and that's what it reminds me of in a great way. I love those jerseys so much, those old school jerseys. And also like this kind of darker yellow with the red and blue, like the primary colors. I think again, very nostalgic, very 70s. I enjoy it. So if anything, like for the lack of like what's kind of with the lack of explaining to me like why is this important for me, why does it matter to me, like I'm not getting that yet, but the vibes are carrying it. But I would like to be a little bit more specific of like why does this matter to me, you know, insert someone at a brand who's looking for agency for help. Okay, here's some of our work. All right, so this is like finally getting to like the type of work or the things I can expect from Jumpsuit. So here it's a video, more videos. Looks like they do ads, so it's like not like very clear like right away like exactly what they do, but I'm like, oh, okay, they do a website here, so it's like a slow reveal. There's packaging, and I assume there's a logo involved with this. Again, another website for whiskey Fireball or Fireball whiskey. So I'm like, okay, I'm finally getting the gist of like, okay, this is the kind of stuff they do, because the most collaborative agency in the world like feels very general, feels all encompassing. Like, okay, there's a slower reveal. Maybe it's taking a little bit too long to be like, okay, this is what we do, but we're here. Okay. Trusted by over 50% of Fortune 50s. We've helped Twitch, Amazon, Twitter, Fireball Whiskey, Visa, Microsoft. Like, okay, we're finally here as far as like, okay, like how are we a guide and how can you trust us? Like, okay, well, there's the work and here's the Fortune 50s. I think if it were me, I would just kind of flip these two sections. But that's still good. Like we're finally getting somewhere of like, oh, okay, this is what they do and how can we trust them? What does it matter that they're the most collaborative agency in the world? Okay, we're getting there. Capabilities. Here we go. Okay. I think this is really cool because like usually when you go to an agency website and you get to the capability section, it only talks about like copywriting, brand strategy, video production, UX, UI. So it's very just like bullet pointy, right? But here's a list. Here we go. We designed brain surgery software for Medtronic, built out the LMS for Microsoft. We even created several of the first apps to ever hit the App Store, creating components we still use today. I think when I gave this like a quick glance, because I only really have seen like, you know, this site for about 10 minutes. This section, like if you like keep reading, there's some Easter eggs, maybe not Easter eggs, but like there's some payoffs for like paying attention. We've also done SEO for poop. We're not picky. We ran the social media for a global cruise line during the pandemic. That was nuts. So like I think now that we're getting to a place where we can let the copy tell the story in a really much more robust way versus like the small statements like we're powered by the independent network, we're the most collaborative agency on the planet. It's like, but now we're finally getting to what they can really do for me. I just want to read this last spot here. We created our own AI tech startup and just completed M&A. Even still, what we've done is way less interesting than how we do it and who we do it with. I want to see more of how we do it and who we do it with. How we do it meaning like I want to know like what's the plan? Like when you get a hold of Jumpsuit, what can you expect? I want to know what to expect. First, especially like if you're shopping, you want to know how something works. Just like any product. I mean, I think not brands, but agencies run the risk of commoditization. And I think so far Jumpsuit like does a good enough job in the way it presents itself visually to be like this is maybe a little bit more special than a typical agency. But like it's the whole storytelling aspect of show don't tell. And so but I think at the same time we need to be telling people how we can what they can expect when they work with us, right? Because I don't feel like it's necessarily speaking to a problem that I have. I don't feel like what success looks like, at least like capabilities I can like kind of visualize like, oh, they've done all this stuff. Like that's cool. But like I want to know exactly how Jumpsuit can uniquely come alongside me to solve my problem. And then Jumpsuit is an official ad sponsor of the telepathy tapes. Okay, so like this takes up a good chunk amount of time. I think I would rather not time, but like a big chunk of real estate on the website. I would rather have like a paragraph of like what makes Jumpsuit uniquely positioned to solve my problem. So still have this like clearly like it's something that their Jumpsuit is proud of, because there's even like a section of the header talking about it, or like linking to it. But yeah, I want to know more about Jumpsuit and how it can solve my problem, at least in the homepage. So let's go to the Our Services page. Maybe it'll tell us a little bit more. Okay, Jumpsuit superpowers. Here we go. Branding and storytelling, digital strategy, creative. I think maybe just like a nitpick of just kind of our own industry here, but storytelling and creative, like it kind of feels like kind of the same thing to me, but no one can really get on the same page of what storytelling actually means when it comes to branding. So I don't blame anyone for having a different way of viewing these things. Anyway, production, media and marketing, experience design and dev, AI consulting. Okay, corporate retreats. Interesting. That is different. That's not a typical brand agency, offering. And then ceremony retreats. So okay, we're getting somewhere. Like that's very different. That's very unique. That's something that I kind of wish that was like teased a little bit in the homepage, to really truly make Jumpsuit like a different agency, not a different agency, but like how to position Jumpsuit as a different sort of guide versus a typical agency. And then you got to check out our work. Okay, so there's another check section of the work. How we work. I don't know if it's my computer, but the how we work isn't showing up. So we're just going to, my computer might be slow, so check out our work, how we work, how we play. So there's a video here. There we go. I don't know if it's the website or my computer. There's a great chance it's my computer being slow. But yeah, so we got the how we work section here. So there's a video kind of explaining of how it's the most collaborative agency on the planet. Okay, that's good. And then how we play. Like, oh, we play too and ready to get started. Have a project in mind, curious about a monthly retainer. Let's see how we're for a good fit. And then you have a type form here of all the different things they do. And then you go through, need help. That is, I think, okay, that's cool. All right. Anyway, I would love to see, some copy of like how we work a little bit on that first page, if you ask me, because now that I know that they do like corporate retreats and ceremony retreats, like that is different. In branding, in brand strategy, differentiation is the name of the game. So like clearly, like once you see that they offer these things, there's a differentiator. There's a differentiator there. That's really unique. Okay, let's go to the About Us section here. The Anthology of Jumpsuit. Okay, so there's a founder story, culture story, independent together, show and tell, our name, behind the scenes. Okay, so there's a lot of lore being built here, and then like when people say lore, like that means like it's a culmination of stories that make up, a person. So if you, for instance, Spider-Man, let's just get a character. There is so much lore about Spider-Man that has carried his character for about 50, 60 years now. So like the term or the phrase, with great power comes great responsibility, that is tied to a piece of lore that he essentially like inadvertently caused the death of his Uncle Ben, right? Everyone knows that's a part of his lore, part of his story. And I really like that there's a whole page here dedicated to this. lore. Maybe there'll be something here on the page that will help us build out the homepage a little bit more. I'm not going to go into these or else we take a lot of time, but that's okay. Here we go. About Jumpsuit. Okay, here we go. Jumpsuit is a highly skilled agency powered by experts who left the 9 to 5 to collaborate together. We have over 200 fully vetted collaborators in our network. Okay, the independent network are led by a multidisciplinary team who has been in the trenches together for years and years. Our specialty is in building lean, custom teams that push your company until new levels of speed, creativity, innovation. We're the agency Fortune 500s call when their agency isn't agile or innovative enough. We're an agency and our mid-market partners trust as an extension of their own team, and we're the agency fully funded startups hire when it's time to level up and compete with the big boys. I want this in the homepage. So I want this to replace the telepathy tapes. Not replace, but just like kind of slide it in and bump the telepathy tapes further down. Because I think it just takes too long to really understand what Jumpsuit is all about. And even then, like when I see that they do like corporate and ceremony retreats, like I want to lean into the weird a little bit here. I want to know more about that in the about. So like maybe, of course, like it talks to like speed, creativity, and innovation. Like let's go like a tiny bit deeper. Of course, like I think if you're a brand, you're not like wanting those retreats, that's fine. But like, I don't think we're going to Jumpsuit to do anything typical. So I want to punch up this copy to be like, yeah, even like ceremony retreats. Like, what does that even mean? Right? All right, let's keep going. And then take the jump, hire us, or join the independent network. Okay, cool. And then, oh yeah, take the jumpsuit. That's good. I like the patch. I don't think it's like so obvious. Like if you're on the homepage and you see the patch on the upper left, like I don't think it's obvious as far as the texture, but here it's very obvious and I really like it. And then let's go to telepathy tapes here. We knew you'd be here. What is Jumpsuit? Jumpsuit is a creative agency powered by the independent network. Okay, I feel like this should be a proper noun too. If this is something that Jumpsuit is like banging the drum about, capitalize it. The independent network, it's yours. But then here's the thing, like I'm interested to know why like there's another like about us statement here. That's strange because I thought the telepathy tapes, that was like the page. Okay, Jumpsuit is an official sponsor of the telepathy tapes. Like, well, what is the telepathy tapes? This is what I'm hoping to understand on this page, and I'm not sure if this is doing it because then it goes to building the independent network. So I feel like page isn't really doing what I want it to do when I clicked into it, the telepathy tapes aspect of it. Okay. And then not sure how you want to collab yet. Just say hi. And I think, okay, maybe. Oh, okay. This is like a video thing where I'm like, I can like take a video of myself and say hi. But anyway, telepathy tapes. I want to know more about that and I'm not getting it. And also like there's also not a header up here. So I can go back home. So I think that I'm not sure if this page is helping me do what I want to do here. So if it's an important part of what Jumpsuit does, then I think this page needs to be retooled. I think we have some extra time as well to go back here. Okay, let's click on founder story. Okay, let's go into YouTube video. Okay, YouTube video. Okay, I know you're not really watching the videos much here, but I think all of these are just YouTube videos. Okay, cool. I do like this little sections here, you know, like as far as like the photos that they have. There's like a bunch of different types of jumpsuits happening here. All right, cool. And I think the anthology of Jumpsuit, I think it's great because like it's a collection of stories. And if we're talking about storytelling, like, okay, that's cool. There's a lot of lore here, but maybe a little extra copy here to help orient us of like how unique Jumpsuit is and how people can dive in to learn more. That's just neither here nor there. Let's go back to the front page again. So then join the network. Let's click this button now. Okay, so I think it's going to another page that we haven't looked at before. It's called Jumpsuiters, the child name, then the URL. So there's a video explaining it. So, I mean, there's a different use of a font here. Like, there's a couple of fonts that I've seen on the website. They're a little bit different. Like, this is kind of, maybe it's like Avenir, I think. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, then it's asking us to join the Patreon, which is like, I saw another button for it earlier, but like, and then return to retreat. So there's a few CTAs here going on here, like asking me to do different things. I think this is where we stop like kind of playing dumb, like, oh, I'm pretending this is my first time here. Because I think this is a good segue to really like understand my own context for Jumpsuit. Because when Nicole, we were in the DMs and she sent me the link to the Patreon, that's where things got really interesting for me. Let's go to the Patreon because so I'm a free member of the Patreon right now, and I think it's been really, really cool because there's a lot of content here that kind of gave like really, really piqued my own interest. So, for instance, you got the featured products here, like, oh, the multi-dimensional Enneagram. Like, wait, what? Enneagram? What is going on here? Like, I had no idea about that. Like in these like special YouTube podcasts that only get uploaded here. So business in the front, spiritual in the back, the modern day mullet. So like okay, so let's just look here. Millions of people are trying to figure out how to do business as usual while navigating a spiritual awakening. We tend to think that there are only two solutions: become an entrepreneur or keep quiet in the proverbial closet. And so but what if you could do HR and work with human design? All right. So this is where things get a little bit interesting because when I saw this, I'm like, I'm going to listen to more of these podcasts here. So they have a public podcast feed and I listen to all those, and the idea of doing what Nicole says, like a multi-dimensional agency, which is not verbiage they use for the website. I think, especially since like she says a story about how she offered one of her clients to do like almost like a Reiki session or something like that. I could be wrong getting my story different, but the point is she and her team are tackling problems for companies in a very unique way that it's not just like we're doing brand strategy, we're doing copywriting, we're doing paid ads, we're doing software. Like she said, like, I wouldn't be authentic if I didn't offer this to you because the company in question, like I think someone had passed away in their business and they were kind of floundering a bit. And I think that's what's really cool, especially like talking, like there's even a podcast episode about like ketamine. It's like, or in like, and I think there's a video on here talking about like Reiki or something, or like tarot, and those are really unique ways like to help a business, right? Like this goes beyond like advertising. This goes beyond content. This like really serves people in a deeper way, and that's what I think is missing from what I have learned about Jumpsuit to this website. Although there's something to be said about like maybe not saying everything on the website, but I think if that terminology of multi-dimensional made its way to the Jumpsuit website and give like a little teeny tiny taste of being like, hey, we can do all these other things, but we're not typical, and then give like three things, like three examples. Be like, if we feel like your leadership team needs a retreat where there's Reiki practitioner or tarot card readers, like that's what we're going to offer, you know? I was about to go to the homepage, but I'm also missing a header here to help me get back to where I am. So I got to type the old URL in. So the fact like it's the most collaborative agency on the planet, like, I mean, that's probably true. But like, I think having like a sub blurb, like talking about like a like we offer multi-dimensional services to build your brand or whatever, like something like that, to really like hold it down and really tell me as a customer how Jumpsuit can help in a unique way. I think that would be really, really huge. So I think, you know, I think like the more that people kind of like navigate the site and discover very, very, very slowly what Jumpsuit is, it's very clear that Jumpsuit's not for everyone, but who Jumpsuit is for, it's like they're very, very much for. And I think that's what makes a great brand, that you're differentiated enough that you're turning people away, but the people that truly fuck with you are like all the way in. So I know I spent a lot of time on this. We're about 33 minutes in. But overall, like I do think there's like a little bit of work to be done on this homepage, at least, because there's a lot of things that we found out as we've explored the different pages on the website. We could take little bits and pieces from here and there to bring it to the homepage for a little bit more robust story. So I can, and what I really want to know, what I'm on this homepage, is that what's the plan of action and how can you help me find my own success by partnering with Jumpsuit? Whether, because like they talk about the network, but also as a client. I think that's what's missing, and also what makes them different, truly different, because I don't think the most collaborative agency on the planet is like the main thing. I think it should lean more on the multi-dimensional idea, right? Like, because that's, I think, the most interesting part of Jumpsuit as far as what I know. So anyway, if you want to work with Jumpsuit, you can check them out. Go to jumpsuitagency.com. If you want to work with me to help you solidify your story, go to chapterscreative.com. And I just really want to help out. So there are some links in the description. Free, you got there's free resources like the what the fuck is brand strategy PDF. You can assess your business of making sure that your brand strategy is on the right path. And also you can just reach out and make a call with me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Check out Jumpsuit, check out chapterscreative.com, and we'll see you later.